The copy ninja copied over 1,000 jutsu, and the show used maybe 12 of them. Think about that for a second. This is a character who trained under the Fourth Hokage, survived ANBU Black Ops, developed a space-time technique without being born into the clan it came from, and the series spent most of its runtime having him show up, do something cool for 30 seconds, and then get sidelined so the next arc can start. So let's actually do what the show never bothered to do. Let's build out what Kakashi Hatake looked like at its real ceiling. With the Sharingan, without it, and that one brief window where he had two, and figure out what we actually lost when the series decided he was done. Before we even touch the Sharingan, there's a baseline that needs to be established, because this is where the show consistently undersells him. Kakashi was already exceptional before Obito supposedly died. He made Jonin before most of his peers were halfway through the academy pipeline. He was eligible to become an ANBU at an age where other shinobi were still building their first real mission records. That isn't background flavor. That's the show telling you, in plain terms, that this person operates at a level most shinobi never reach regardless of what tools they're given. The 1,000 jutsu count gets treated like a quirky character trait. It isn't. It means Kakashi has built a functional combat answer for almost any situation he walks to. Every nature release, every range, every tactical context, most high level shinobi have a specialty and a handful of reliable options outside of it. Kakashi has a whole library. That's a fundamentally different way of fighting. His taijutsu is exceptional and always has been. Fluid, efficient, nothing wasted. His intelligence in combat is arguably the most dangerous quality. He reads a fight in real time and adjusts before most opponents have finished establishing their pattern. That's the floor. Everything else is built on top of it. When the Sharingan is active, Kakashi's already elite baseline gets multipliers applied to almost every part. The copying is the thing everyone knows about, but it's worth being precise about what it actually means in practice. Kakashi isn't just mimicking hand signs. He's watching a technique execute, processing the chakra flow, reverse engineering the underlying mechanics, and integrating a functional version, often mid-fight. That requires the kind of tactical intelligence he already has, and the Sharingan just makes that input faster and more complete. It's why the copying works at all. A less intelligent fighter with the same eye would copy techniques they couldn't actually deploy effectively. While he doesn't use genjutsu that much in the series, this is where it becomes genuinely oppressive. Kakashi can initiate through eye contact with enough subtlety that opponents are already caught before they've recognized what's happening. Against anyone without strong mental defenses, that's a fight-ending option available to him at almost any moment. And then there's the predictive tracking. The Sharingan reads motions and chakra at a level that effectively gives Kakashi a preceding advantage over what you're about to do. Pair that with a mind that's already molding the fight several moves ahead, and you're not just behind on reaction time, you're behind on thinking time. Then Kamui enters the picture and the conversation completely changes. The ability to face himself intangible, to warp targets into a pocket dimension, to remove things from the battlefield permanently, in the hands of someone who already fights by controlling the frame of a battle, that's not just a powerful technique, it's a near complete tactical answer to almost any threat. He can't be hit if he doesn't want to be hit. He can remove your most dangerous asset before you finish committing to it. The real cost? The Sharingan drains him at a rate no native Uchiha would experience. It was never meant for his physiology. Extended Kamui use pushes him towards critical state fast. So Peak Kakashi with the Sharingan is a hard time fighter. He doesn't grind, he ends things. Every decision is made with the clock in mind, and that discipline, knowing when to spend and when to hold, is itself a product of the intelligence that was already there before the eye. Now here's the version of this conversation that almost never gets the attention it deserves. During the War Arc's climax, Obito channels his remaining chakra into Kakashi in his final moments. For a short window, brief enough that the show barely lingers on it, Kakashi has two active Mangekyou Sharingan, backed by the 6-pass chakra, one in each eye, no drain, no timer, both running simultaneously. Let's actually sit with what that means. A native Uchiha who activates both Mangekyou achieves the eternal Mangekyou Sharingan, the progression that eliminates blindness risk and significantly amplifies ability output. Kakashi can't reach EMS by lineage, but what he has in that window is functionally similar. The chakra cost that has defined and limited every previous version of his Sharingan use is gone. The ceiling that the drain imposed lifted. And here's what the dual application actually does mechanically. Kakashi's right eye Kamui operates at range, the spiraling warp that pulls targets into the pocket dimension. His left eye Kamui operates close, the intangibility, the phasing. When both are running simultaneously, those two modes work in concert. He can phase while warping, he can defend and remove threats in the same movement. There's no longer a meaningful gap between offense and defense because both draw from the same dimensional mechanic applied at different ranges. The fight we actually get from this form is against Kaguya, a character operating at a tier that makes Monster Shippuden look like a warm-up, and Kakashi holds. He's executing Kamui application back to back, operating across dimensions, keeping pace. That's not a character getting carried by the moment. That's the framework finally running without restrictions. Think about that applied to any fight earlier in the series. Against any threat, Kakashi struggled to keep up with them because the drain was capping him. This version doesn't have that problem. This version fights until the opponent runs out of answers, not until Kakashi runs out of chakra. The tragedy is that it lasts maybe about 5 minutes of screen time before the moment passes and is never addressed again. The show hands us the ceiling, gives us a glimpse of what's behind the door, and then closes it. If that window had been permanent, if Obito had survived, or if Kakashi had been born Uchiha, what you're looking at is probably the most tactically complete fighter the series ever constructed. 1000 jutsu library, dimensional intangibility, dimensional removal, combat intelligence that has been sharpened for 30 years, no drain to manage. The series never lets that breathe, and that can be considered a genuine creative loss. Here's where the fan base tends to make a mistake, and honestly, the show earns some sort of blame for it. When people think about Kakashi without the Sharingan, the instinct is to subtract. No copying, no Kamui, no Genjutsu through the eye. The assumption is that you're left with a diminished version of the character, but that framing is completely backwards. The Sharingan enhanced the foundation, it did not build it. Everything that made Kakashi dangerous before Obito quote-unquote died, the tactical intelligence, the taijutsu, the chakra control, the 1000 jutsu depth, none of that lives in the eye. It is lived in 30 plus years of actual combat. Remove the eye and that stays completely intact. Without the Sharingan active, his natural sensory processing becomes more prominent. He's reading body language, environmental shifts, chakra signatures without the visual shortcut. That's slower, but it's his, not a borrowed tool running on a borrowed physiology. And there's something technically interesting that comes with losing the eye that rarely gets discussed. Opponents no longer have to metagame around it. They stop guarding their unique techniques. They stop managing eye contact. They fight looser, and a looser opponent against someone with Kakashi's pattern recognition is actually easier to dismantle. He's able to replace the Chidori with the purple lightning jutsu, with lightning chakra, piercing force, the speed to deliver it. That combination doesn't require the Sharingan to be lethal, it requires the intelligence to set it up, which Kakashi has. He's a different fighter without the eye, not a lesser one. By the time Boruto starts, the Sharingan is gone permanently. It went with Obito, and the fan base largely treats this as a point where Kakashi stops being relevant. That reading is wrong, and it's worth being direct about why. Kakashi in the Boruto era is a veteran in his late 40s or early 50s, with 3 decades of high-level combat experience fully intact. His tactical processing is a mental ability. The Sharingan accelerated it, but it doesn't own it. His jutsu library doesn't disappear because the eye that copies some of it is gone. Those techniques were learned and integrated. They belong to him. And here's the thing that almost never gets mentioned. His chakra reserves, no longer hemorrhaging constantly into maintaining a Sharingan that was never built for his body, are probably in better shape than they have been since he was a teenager. Think about that. For essentially his entire adult life, Kakashi was fighting with a passive drain running in the background every time the eye was uncovered. Every mission, every engagement, energy leaving the system constantly just to keep a borrowed tool running. That's gone now. The chronic cost is lifted. What the loss of the Sharingan actually does is compress his ceiling while raising the floor. He can't hit the heights that Kamui made possible, but he can sustain it. He can fight longer, he can operate in extended engagements without the clock running against him the way it always was. Veteran Kakashi, no Sharingan, no drain, full library, full intelligence, should be approaching threat assessment and combat the way a master technician approaches a complex problem. Not with raw power, but with precision, with patience, with the kind of setup that works that makes the fight feel over before the opponent realizes it started. That being said, the Boruto series doesn't explore this. He exists in the background. He shows up, makes a knowing comment, and disappears, which is his own kind of waste, different from what Shippuden did, but the same pattern. A character with a genuinely interesting post-Sharingan arc available to him, and the series opts not to write it. So what does the full picture actually look like? The dual Mangekyou window is the hard ceiling. 5 minutes of screen time, never revisited, probably the most complete version of any fighter the series ever assembled. Below that, late war arc Kakashi with developed Kamui and decades of experience is the sustained peak. Efficient, tactically near untouchable, ending fights before the drain becomes critical. Without the Sharingan entirely, Boruto era, he's still elite, just differently. The copy is gone, the dimensional manipulation is gone. What remains is everything he built before Obito's eye ever entered the picture, now running without the chronic cost that eye always carried. The show tells us Kakashi is a legend, it just never bothered to prove it on screen the way it should have. And that's the version of this character we deserve to see, Kakashi truly at his peak. But what do you guys think? Do you think Kakashi at his peak would have been one of the top tier shinobi in the show? I'd love to get y'all's thoughts, so let me know in the comment section below. And if you guys want to see more videos like this, click the card you see here, which goes about the potential peak of Minato, the potential of what he could have been in his prime. I'm the curly haired Hokage, and I hope you all have an amazing and blessed day. Peace.